Imagine waking up tomorrow with no phone, no electricity, no antibiotics, just the sting of Mediterranean sun in your eyes and the smell of smoke and livestock in the air. You try to ask for help, but your English means nothing. A man in a wool tunic stares at you like you're mad. Somewhere nearby, a slave is being whipped. Down the road, a jury of 500 citizens prepares to vote a man into exile with a shard of broken pottery. You think you could survive a day in ancient Greece? By sundown, you'd be begging for the 21st century. You open your eyes on hard-packed earth. The first thing you notice is the heat. It's dry, relentless, pressing down like a weight. And the smell olive oil, sweat, smoke, animals. A goat bleats, a rooster crows, though it feels long past dawn. You sit up. In the distance, a rocky hill crowned with gleaming marble columns. You recognize it instantly, the Acropolis of Athens. That temple at the top, the Parthenon. Except it isn't a ruin. It's new. The marble is bright, almost blinding. Painted details, reds, blues, gold decorate the pediments. Statues stare down, streets unpaved, houses squat, box-like, of mud brick and stone. No glass windows, no plumbing, no comfort. You stand dizzy. You're wearing your modern clothes. That's your first mistake. A man passing by freezes. He wears a simple tunic, belted at the waist, sandals strapped up his calves. His beard is thick and dark. He looks you up and down, suspicion narrowing his eyes. You try, "Hi, can you help me?" He responds in rapid-fire ancient Greek. You don't understand. The sounds are sharper, more guttural than expected. This isn't classical pronunciation. It's alive, fast, emotional. He shouts. 2 more men approach. Less than 5 minutes, and you've drawn attention. Here's the first reason you wouldn't last a day. Language. Ancient Greeks didn't speak English. Even if you learned Greek in school, it's modern Greek, separated by 2,000 years. In 5th century BCE Athens, democracy flourished for male citizens who could argue persuasively. Rhetoric was survival. You can't even ask for water. The men grab your arm. Not violently yet, but firmly. They're arguing about you. You catch no words. One gestures toward your shoes. Another pokes the fabric of your shirt. Your synthetic fibers might as well be alien skin. To them, you look strange, dangerous, possibly a spy from a rival city-state like Sparta. And Athens is paranoid. In ancient Athens, citizenship was precious. Only free-born men with Athenian parents qualified. Women couldn't vote. Slaves had no rights. Foreign residents met paid special taxes and still lacked political power. You have no papers, no family, no proof of origin. That makes you nothing. They drag you toward the agora, the central marketplace and political hub. It's loud, chaotic, buzzing with debate. Merchants shout over baskets of figs and olives. Potters display painted vases depicting gods and battles. Philosophers argue under shaded porticos. And there, barefoot and calm, stands a man asking questions. It's Socrates. You recognize him from statues and textbooks. Bald, snub-nosed, wrapped in a simple cloak. He's mid-conversation, asking a young man what justice truly means. In a few decades, this city will execute him. Democracy here is real, but it's brutal. You're thirsty, desperately. The sun is unforgiving, and you haven't had water since whenever you came from. A woman draws water from a public fountain fed by an aqueduct. You try to gesture politely. She recoils. You smell wrong. You look wrong. Finally, one of the men shoves a clay cup into your hand. The water tastes off, mineral heavy, possibly contaminated. You drink anyway. Here's the second reason you wouldn't survive. Disease. There are no antibiotics, no germ theory, no understanding of bacteria. Illness is attributed to humors or gods. In 430 BCE, a devastating plague swept through Athens. Historians described fever, vomiting, ulcers, blindness, death. Up to 1/3 of the population may have died. If you catch dysentery from bad water, you're done. If you scrape your leg and it gets infected, there's no urgent care. You'd be shocked how fragile survival becomes. You're sweating heavily now. Public baths exist, but they're basic. Soap is rare. People use olive oil and scrape dirt off with a strigil. Toilets are communal benches with holes. Flies buzz everywhere, and slavery is everywhere. Roughly 1/3 of Athens' population may be enslaved. War captives, debtors, children born into bondage. They work in homes, mines, workshops. The silver mines at Laurium are infamous dark, suffocating, lethal. You make eye contact with a boy carrying a heavy load of pottery shards. He looks about 12. He's a slave. Your 21st century instincts scream that this is wrong. But here, it's normal, essential to the economy. You protest, you'll look insane or subversive. Hunger creeps in. You're offered bread dense, coarse barley bread. No butter, no sugar, olives, maybe a bit of goat cheese. Meat is rare unless it's part of a religious sacrifice. You chew slowly. It's not bad, but it's not enough. Ancient Greeks ate modestly by modern standards. Caloric intake varied, and famine wasn't unheard of. A failed harvest could mean starvation. You've grown up with supermarkets open 24/7. Here, survival depends on weather and trade routes. The men finally release you near citizens arguing about policy. This is democracy in action. Citizens gather to vote on laws, military campaigns, even ostracism. Where someone can be exiled for 10 years if enough votes are cast against them on pottery shards called a straka. Imagine living where your neighbors can legally vote you out of your own city. No appeal, no Supreme Court, just the will of the majority. Athens prides itself on freedom, but it's freedom for a select few. And if you speak carelessly, you could be charged with impiety disrespecting the gods. That's what will eventually happen to Socrates. Statues of Athena watch over the city. Offerings burn in temples. Every action, travel, marriage, war requires ritual. Religion isn't personal. It's civic duty. If you refuse to participate, you're not spiritual. You're dangerous. You try to explain you don't believe Zeus. Good luck. As evening approaches, the city changes. Torches flicker. The streets grow shadowed and uncertain. There are no streetlights. No police force as you understand it. Crime exists. So do private grudges. You have no home. No allies, no legal status. You curl up near a wall, exhausted, your mind racing. The stars above are shockingly bright without light pollution. Somewhere, men sing drinking songs at a symposium. Wine flowing, philosophy debated, women excluded unless enslaved or hired for entertainment. You realize something chilling. It's not the lack of technology that would destroy you. It's the social structure. You don't belong. And in ancient Greece, not belonging is dangerous. As sleep pulls you under, you hear distant shouting, angry, urgent. Tomorrow, you'll learn what happens when war comes to the gates. And that's when surviving a single day becomes almost impossible. You wake before sunrise to the sound of shouting, not the normal marketplace chatter. This is panic. A horn blasts from the city walls. Men are running. Women are pulling children inside. A dog barks uncontrollably. You sit up, heart pounding. War has arrived. Your chances of lasting a single day in ancient Greece drop to almost zero. The year is late 5th century BCE. The rivalry between Athens and Sparta has erupted into full-scale conflict, the Peloponnesian War. You learned about it in school as a chapter between tests. Here, it's survival. A man grabs your shoulder and shouts something. You catch only one word repeated. Spartans. Even if you don't understand the language, you understand the fear. Sparta is not just another city-state, it is a war machine. If Athens is noisy, intellectual, chaotic, Sparta is silent, disciplined, lethal. Spartan boys enter the agoge at age 7. They are beaten, starved, trained to fight, taught to endure pain without flinching. Weakness is punished, strength is mandatory. The entire Spartan society exists for one purpose: war. At the center of that system are warriors like Leonidas, the first king, who would one day stand at Thermopylae against Persia. You romanticized that story once. Now imagine facing men raised from childhood to kill efficiently. You haven't slept properly. You're dehydrated. You've never held a spear. You wouldn't last 5 seconds in a hoplite phalanx. A citizen shoves a bronze helmet into your hands. It's heavy. You struggle just lifting it. Hoplite citizen soldiers fight shoulder to shoulder in tight formation. Each man carries a massive round shield, a spear, and body armor. The formation is everything. If one man breaks, the line collapses. You try to imagine yourself locked in formation, shield pressing into the man beside you, hearing the pounding of feet as Spartans advance. There is no cinematic soundtrack, just the sound of metal striking metal, the scream of wounded men, the crunch of bone under sandals. The first push, called the athismos, is pure brutality. Hundreds of pounds of force slam into your shield. You stumble backward. If you fall, you are trampled. You are stabbed. You die. And if you survive the first clash, you must keep fighting under the blazing Greek sun in armor that feels like an oven. Modern gym workouts would not prepare you for this. Let's say, by miracle, you survive the battle. There are no therapists waiting to treat trauma. In ancient Greece, courage is virtue. Fear is shame. Men who falter are mocked. Cowards lose status. Sometimes they lose citizenship. Sparta, in particular, had brutal consequences for perceived weakness. A Spartan who dropped his shield could be socially ostracized for life. You grew up in a culture that encourages vulnerability. Here, vulnerability is a liability. As the war drags on, Athens crowds its rural population behind city walls to avoid Spartan invasions. That's when disease spreads: overcrowding, poor sanitation, limited clean water. The plague that devastated Athens was described in horrifying detail by Thucydides, who actually survived it. Victims suffered burning fevers, red eyes, internal bleeding, diarrhea so severe it led to dehydration and death. Corpses piled up faster than they could be burned. You feel a tickle in your throat. Panic sets in. There is no hospital, no for fluids, no antibiotics. If you show symptoms, people may avoid you, or worse, leave you. Thucydides wrote that social order itself began to collapse. Laws were ignored. Religious faith faltered. Survival instincts overrode morality. Imagine living through a pandemic without science to explain it. You would be terrified. Later that day, after the panic subsides, you are dragged again to the agora. You've drawn too much attention. A man accuses you of being a foreign spy. You don't understand the words, but you understand the tone. A crowd gathers. Athens prides itself on democracy, but it is direct democracy. Large juries, sometimes hundreds of citizens, vote on guilt or innocence. There are no professional judges guiding proceedings. No defense attorneys as you know them. You must speak for yourself. In flawless Greek, you open your mouth. Nothing comes out. A murmur spreads through the crowd. This is the same system that will condemn Socrates to death by hemlock for allegedly corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods. If the city can execute its most famous philosopher, what chance do you have? A shard of pottery is placed into the hands of jurors. They scratch names onto it. If enough decide you are dangerous, you could be exiled or worse. As the proceedings drag on, you see chained prisoners marched through the square. war captives, future slaves. Ancient Greece, the birthplace of philosophy, drama, democracy, runs on forced labor. Even in intellectual Athens, enslaved people cook meals, tutor children, work in workshops, and mine silver. If the court decides you're a foreigner without status, you could legally be sold. Just like that, your entire identity reduced to property. No appeals, no international law, no human rights conventions. You glance toward a group of women hurrying past, veils partially covering their faces. If you were born female here, your world would be even smaller. In Athens, women cannot vote, hold office, or represent themselves in court. Their lives revolve around the household. Marriages are arranged. Education is limited. Contrast that with modern America, where women lead corporations, serve in Congress, command military units. The freedoms you take for granted simply do not exist. Even powerful goddesses like Athena cannot mask the reality of human inequality. As night approaches, you're released not acquitted, but dismissed for now. You wander toward a hillside theater. A tragedy is being performed, likely something inspired by Euripides or Sophocles. The masks are dramatic. The chorus chants in haunting rhythm. But even entertainment carries weight. These plays explore fate, divine punishment, moral collapse. There is no escapism. Stories are warnings. And you realize something chilling. In this world, suffering is normal. Children die young. Women die in childbirth. Men die in war. Slaves die in mines. Life expectancy hovers around 30 to 35 years on average, dragged down by infant mortality and disease. If you're over 25, you're not young. You're approaching middle age. You finally collapse against a stone wall, body aching. Somewhere in the darkness, drunken men argue. A fight breaks out. There is no 911 to call. You think about everything you faced in a single day. Language barrier, social suspicion, war mobilization, disease, legal danger. The constant presence of slavery. No modern medicine. No modern rights. You came here believing ancient Greece was marble statues and wise philosophers. It's also blood, fear, and relentless survival. As your eyes close, you wonder if the court will summon you again at dawn. If they do, the next punishment may not be exile. It may be death. And you haven't even encountered the harshest system, yet the world of Sparta itself. That lesson comes tomorrow. You don't get the chance to sleep in. At dawn, rough hands yank you upright. The court has decided you're not important enough to execute. You're not trustworthy enough to release. You are to be removed. In other words, exiled beyond Athenian territory. For most Athenians, exile is social death. For you, it may be literal death. You're escorted beyond the walls of Athens, past olive groves and rocky hills shimmering under the rising sun. The guards shove you forward and turn back without ceremony. No supplies, no map, no protection. You walk. Hours pass. Your sandals borrowed, and ill-fitting rub your skin raw. The Mediterranean sun is merciless. No gas stations, no roadside diners, no Uber waiting at the tab of a screen. Just dust. Travel in ancient Greece is dangerous. Bandits roam rural roads. Wild animals still exist in greater numbers. And if you stumble into another city-state without citizenship, you're a stranger. Strangers are suspect. After what feels like a full day of walking, you see it. A settlement unlike Athens. Fewer decorative buildings. No grand temples gleaming in artistic pride. Instead, the structures are austere, functional, severe. You have reached the territory of Sparta. And this is where modern instincts go to die. Sparta does not care who you are. It cares what you can endure. The society here is structured around total military readiness. From birth, life is evaluated through the lens of strength. According to tradition, newborn Spartan boys were inspected by elders. If deemed weak, they could be abandoned. Whether every story is literal or not, the message is clear. Weakness is unacceptable. You, dehydrated, confused, linguistically helpless, are weakness personified. You are seized almost immediately. There are no long debates in the agora here. No philosophical questioning like you witnessed around Socrates in Athens. Sparta's system is oligarchic and militaristic, ruled by 2 kings and a council of elders. One of those legendary kings centuries earlier was Leonidas I, who led 300 Spartans at Thermopylae against Persia. The story is often told as heroic sacrifice. Standing here now, you understand something different. Spartan life was not heroic. It was harsh. You are thrown into a training ground to be assessed. Boys barely teenagers are sparring with wooden spears. Their bodies are lean, scarred, hardened. They move with terrifying discipline. This is the agoj system. From age 7, Spartan boys leave their families to live in communal barracks. They are intentionally underfed to encourage stealth and theft, but punished brutally if caught. They are trained to fight, endure pain, and obey without question. You try to stand straight. A trainer circles you, unimpressed. He says something sharp. You don't respond correctly. A staff strikes your back. Pain explodes through your body. This isn't cruelty for cruelty's sake. It's conditioning. Sparta believes pain is a teacher. Modern society avoids discomfort. You regulate temperature with air conditioning. You avoid hunger with instant food delivery. You manage discomfort with medication. Here, discomfort is daily life. And if you can't adapt, you are useless. But Sparta has another secret beneath its warrior image. Its economy depends on helots, an enslaved population primarily from conquered regions like Messenia. These helots farm the land, produce food, and sustain the Spartan military class. They vastly outnumber Spartan citizens, and Sparta is terrified of them. Each year, according to some ancient accounts, Spartan authorities formally declared war on the helot population to legitimize killing any considered dangerous. Imagine living in a society where state-sponsored terror is routine. You glance at a helot working in the fields thin, sunburned, exhausted. In Athens, slavery was normalized. In Sparta, it is militarized oppression. If Athens would sell you into slavery quietly, Sparta would exploit you ruthlessly. Either way, you have no rights. Later, you witness punishment firsthand. A man accused of cowardice in battle is brought before his peers. There is no lengthy trial, no appeals process. His shield is displayed before the crowd. Spartan mothers famously told their sons to return with your shield or on it. To lose it was disgrace. The man's punishment is not immediate execution, but something arguably worse. He is stripped of honor, forced to wear humiliating clothing, denied participation in communal meals, shunned socially. In a society built entirely on honor, this is devastating. In Athens, execution could come in other forms. The method used on Socrates was forced consumption of hemlock, a poison that gradually paralyzed the body while the mind remained conscious. No firing squad, no quick injection. You would feel your legs fail first, then your chest, then your breathing slow, all while surrounded by witnesses. Justice in ancient Greece is communal. Death is not hidden. You notice something unexpected. Spartan women move with confidence. Unlike in Athens, Spartan women can own property and receive physical training. They are expected to be strong, capable of bearing and raising warriors. But don't mistake strength for equality. Their value is tied to producing sons. Their autonomy exists within the framework of serving the state. In modern America, personal freedom is considered a right. Here, identity is tied to function. Everything serves survival of the polis, the city-state. You as an individual? Secondary. By now, your body aches from dehydration and blows. Your mind reels from the constant vigilance required just to avoid punishment. There is no privacy, no mental health day, no scrolling endlessly on your phone to escape reality. Every moment requires awareness. And here is the deeper truth. Modern humans are not physically or psychologically conditioned for this. We evolved resilience, yes, but centuries of technological comfort have reshaped daily expectations. In ancient Greece, water must be carried. Food must be prepared from scratch. Injury can mean death. Social missteps carry lethal consequences. War is cyclical, not exceptional. Even entertainment like the Olympic Games held at Olympia is physically brutal. Athletes compete naked under the sun in events like pankration, a no-holds-barred combat sport blending wrestling and boxing. Broken bones are common. Glory is fleeting. When you studied ancient Greece, you saw white marble statues. But those statues were originally painted in bright colors. When you imagined philosophers, you imagined quiet reflection. But their world was loud, dirty, and politically volatile. When you thought of democracy, you imagined universal rights. But Athenian democracy excluded women, slaves, and foreigners, likely the majority of the population. When you pictured Sparta, you imagined cinematic heroism. But the reality was systemic fear, forced discipline, and perpetual militarization. Ancient Greece gave the world philosophy, drama, political theory, mathematics. It also normalized slavery, brutal warfare, infanticide, and public execution. It was brilliant, and it was merciless. As dusk settles over Spartan land, you collapse under a fading orange sky. You haven't lasted more than a few days. You are hungry beyond comfort, injured beyond easy healing, socially isolated beyond endurance. And the truth hits you. It's not that ancient Greeks were superhuman. It's that they were conditioned from birth to survive a world far harsher than yours. You were conditioned for climate control, digital communication, antibiotics, and legal protections built over centuries of reform. Drop a modern person into 5th century BCE Greece without preparation? Most wouldn't survive a week. Many wouldn't survive a day. As darkness consumes the horizon, you understand why. Ancient Greece wasn't a museum of marble ruins. It was a battlefield of survival. And survival that required something modern comfort has quietly eroded. Relentless, uncompromising toughness.